This morning on Today's Money, repairing your post-holiday finances and budget. After the crush of buying gifts and paying for travel, some of us might be shouldering a broken or stressed financial situation. So just what are the best steps to getting those finances back under control and making the wisest financial moves into 2010? Here to help our money experts, Lynette Calfani-Cox of themoneycoach.net and Sanyika Callaway-Boyce, a financial fitness coach and author of Give Yourself Credit. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
All right, Lynette, here's the big one to get through, of course. It's that credit card debt that you may be shouldering based on the holidays. You bought too much. So your first tip is to set a very strict payoff plan. You say give yourself 3 months. Why 3 months?
Well, 3 months, frankly, is a finite time period that'll help ensure that you don't carry into the holiday season of 2010 the debt that you racked up in 2009. And let's face it, most Americans are already carrying credit card debt. They already had probably thousands of dollars on their credit cards. So what I recommend is essentially look at your charges that you made just over the holiday season. Divide that total number by 3 and go ahead and pay that off. So if it's, say, $900 that you spent, divided by 3, you'll have to pay $300 per month. But you pay that in addition to the minimum payments or whatever else you've been making on your existing debt.
All right. And Sanyika, another way to go about managing your holiday debt is, you say, to make a list, smallest to largest, and then knock them off one by one. Why is that a good strategy?
Well, I call it bill pay bingo. And it basically allows you to kind of cover everything and essentially start paying your bills off so that you knock one off completely and then do the same process, repeated it time and again. Because when you get that win, kind of like that bingo after paying one bill completely, it gives you a feeling of like, okay, I've accomplished something, now I can keep going with it.
You also say, and a lot of Americans do this, don't rob Peter to pay Paul. A lot of people just kind of move their money around and feel like they paid something off, but now they've just incurred other debt, like taking out a home equity line, or you suggest other things that they should not be doing.
Well, you basically are just prolonging the problem. We're actually transferring the pain. You're taking money out of a 401k plan or taking money out of some sort of long-term savings plan, but then when it comes time to retire or when it comes time to buy a home or send your children to college, it's like, oops, you know, I took that money already. So you really need to be cautious about taking it from a long-term or a large lump of money and taking, particularly for immediate bills.
Lynette, 2 other pieces of advice you give Americans. You say scrutinize your credit card statements and agreements and pull your credit report and scores. Why are those 2 things so important?
Well, first of all, we're in the middle of a credit crunch, and we all know that banks have been changing a lot of the loan terms and agreements that are enforced for customers. They're raising interest rates, adding additional fees, changing some of the stipulations. Some of this is ahead of the February 2010 credit card reform legislation we're going to see. So you need to know about that. And then, of course, as a matter of good financial planning, everybody should monitor their credit rating on an annual basis. I think, frankly, on a monthly basis, but at the very least, take advantage of your right as a consumer to go to annualcreditreport.com, and you can get a free copy of your credit report from each of the 3 credit bureaus, TransUnion,
I read 70% of credit reports have mistakes, and that can absolutely affect your credit, which affects the interest rates you're paying.
Absolutely. It can cost you money, and a lot of consumer groups have shown that there are numerous mistakes in people's credit files. You need the credit reports and the credit scores as well.
Sanyika, you say final advice here. A lot of people, when you're heading into 2010, put some of those bills on auto pay.
Yes.
That's a very important thing to do. You also say put away as much savings as possible. How much are we talking about?
Well, if you look at it, if you take $400 a month over 20 years at a minimum of 5% interest, you're looking at $165,000 after 2 decades. So it's like, you know, start that saving, continue to expand your muscle to save. And I think that Americans have been doing that, which is exciting. And so we're continuing to see that trend.
Sanyika Callaway-Boyce and Lynette Calfani-Cox, thank you both. Great advice.
Thank you.